So Grandmaster can get down.
What is going on, Full Heel Podcast? I am Rafael Chaidez, the host of the Full Heel Podcast, and I am here for another episode. Today we will be discussing UFC on Fox this past weekend. We had Alvarez versus Porier. We'll also be going over Raw this past Monday for July 30th. But first, a little bit of news, I guess, to get out of the way. Rest in peace, Brian Christopher Lawler. That was his theme for Grandmaster Sexy, the one I just played as an intro. Grandmaster Sexy was part of Too Cool, I think it was called, with Scotty 2 Hotty and Rikishi. They were a tag team. Never really made it past that stardom of being a novelty tag team, of coming out and making the crowd, sing along or dance along or just get hype with them. I'm not sure if they won the tag team titles. I don't really remember. But R.I.P. to Grandmaster Sexy, Brian Christopher Lawler, the son of Jerry the King Lawler. So it's really sad. Apparently, well, he was in jail for a DUI, and he apparently hung himself, and he didn't die during when he hung himself. He died in the hospital after they took him there. I guess they found him after he had tried to take his life. So rest in peace to Brian Christopher Lawler. And then there was another tragedy this past weekend. We had Nikolai Volkov, the part of the Foreign Sympathizers. I think that's what they were called. Him and Iron Sheik formed the tag team later on in his career. But Nikolai Volkov was probably one of the greatest heels WWE had in its early days. I think he's from Yugoslavia, if I'm not sure. So he escaped Yugoslavia as a kid. Because the USSR was in control when he was a young man. So he took off. Let me see. What year did I write down? I guess I didn't write the year. It was in the late 60s, I believe, that he took off. His name was Joseph Puravacek. Sorry, if I can't pronounce his name. Joseph Puravacek. He escaped Canada to pursue his wrestling career, where he came in contact with probably, if not one of the greatest, one of the greatest trainers of all time, Stu Hart, the father of Bret and Owen Hart, and kind of the guy that started the Hart dynasty with the dungeon, the training room that they have. He's a trainer there. He's the guy that would stretch these guys out, put them into submission holds, and kind of teach them the technical side of wrestling. More holds, more grappling, not so much high flying stuff, not any of that. It was more holds and submissions and wrestling moves catered to the pro wrestling style. Is what I'm trying to say, I guess. But yeah, no, he was a great wrestler. Like I said, probably one of the greatest heels, especially for his time. Him and Hogan had a feud at the height of their popularity. Maybe not Hogan's popularity, because he continued on to make movies and a whole bunch of other stuff. This was the WWF before the Winged Eagle belt, so it was like a silverish belt. It was, I don't know if too many people have seen it, the World Wrestling Federation belt when it was silver. Hogan held it, and Volkov challenged him for it. Hogan being the American guy, super American. Volkov being the USSR, the Russian sympathizer, the foreign sympathizer. That's why him and the Iron Sheik formed the tag team, because they were, you know, they both had foreign gimmicks. Both non-U.S. guys promoting their countries, super proud of their countries. And, you know, you can't have that in USA, I guess. You know, you got to be proud of USA. And only USA. But yeah, so rest in peace, Nikolai Volkov. I didn't get to see a lot of Nikolai, just due to the fact that I was super young during the height of his career, during the height of his heelness, and when he was most in shape and when he could do the best of his wrestling. I did go back and I watched some matches between him and Hogan, him and $1 Million Man, but the $1 Million Man match was kind of after the fact. Not after the fact. After his glory days, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. So rest in peace, Volkov. He played his part. He played his part, and it took him the popularity. He didn't want to play a Russian sympathizer due to the fact that he escaped Russia because of communism, and he didn't want to portray a communist persona. He was convinced by the brass that if he brought awareness to communism and stuff like that, and then within the storylines, you know, they would defeat communism, it would kind of I don't know, rile up the Americans and give them hope, and, you know, because it was around the Cold War and that shit around that time. So, yeah, once again, rest in peace to Nikolai Volkov, and rest in peace, Brian Christopher Lawler. You guys will be missed. I would definitely go check out some of Nikolai Volkov's matches back in the day, when it was more pure wrestling, not so much high flying, a lot more holds, a lot more, I guess I would say basic, but I don't want to really call it that. Just a more basic skill set. And it was more of a heel face kind of storyline, where Hogan would be getting beat up most of the match, and then he would hit his Hulkamania. He would just fucking rile himself up. And that's pretty much what happened. He riled himself up, and hit Volkov with a body slam, and then hit him with the big boot, and then landed the leg drop.
Oh, yeah!
And, yeah, so go back and check those matches out. If you guys want, check out Brian Christopher Lawler as well, from Too Cool. Grandmaster Sexy and Scotty Too Hottie and Rikishi, that was the team. And I think that's what the height of his popularity was, of Brian Christopher Daniels. So if you guys are interested in those guys, I definitely go check them out. Once again, rest in peace. Sorry to repeat it so many times, but those guys deserve to be recognized. They were great wrestlers. I don't think Brian really, what I want to say, I don't think he reached what he could have gotten to, just because of the gimmicks he was placed in. Yes, they were popular, but that gimmick was not going to get him an Intercontinental Championship, a European Championship, let alone the World Heavyweight title. So I think he did win it. I'm pretty sure they put the tag team titles on him. They had to have. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Oh, yeah!
But, okay, enough of that. Let's get into this past weekend's, card was Dustin Porier versus Eddie Alvarez in a rematch from what ended in a disqualification due to Eddie Alvarez landing 2 illegal knees. The first one not so illegal, the second one very illegal. And, yeah, so the ref stopped that fight. It ended in a DQ. And
that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
So they ran it back this time, and they got to decide it. They got to decide it without being a DQ. Fantastic match. If I could watch these two guys fight forever, I would. These two guys are, in all sense of the word, warriors. They kind of picked up from where they left off in their last fight. They went balls to the walls last fight, and that's what kind of prompted the DQ. Porier was putting it on heavy, and Alvarez caught him with what I believe was a right that stumbled Porier into the cage. That's when the illegal knees happened by Alvarez to Porier, the DQ. So we have, like I said, it's pretty much the last fight, just continued, just, you know, started over again. So we have Porier kind of a little bit more composed, a little bit more controlled in this one. And he's coming out, and he's, I think he's in southpaw. So he's throwing out the jab, not with, you know, killer intentions. It's kind of just pawing it out there to get a feel. He was really landing that left hand on Porier, or on Alvarez, sorry. The left hand of Porier was it's finding its home a lot. And in the first round, there was no... was there takedowns in the first round? I don't believe there were any takedowns in the first round. I think it was all striking, with Porier gaining the advantage of the first. I would give him the first round. Let's see. CompuBox has it 20-18 for Porier. Insignificant and in total strikes. No takedowns attempted by either one of them. And then the second round is where things picked up a little bit more. We had Dustin landing the left again. And I don't know if he was pressuring Eddie more, but he was definitely the one engaging first, landing that left. He hit Eddie too many times with that left for Eddie's liking. Eddie shot in for a double leg, and Dustin right away jumped on the on the guillotine. He jumped for the guillotine, and it was deep. You could see Eddie fighting it. He was switching from from Dustin's left hand side where he was at. He got out of the guard and he switched over to the left and then back to the right, kind of creating angles and creating separation around his neck to, you know, to breathe, because it was in tight. It was in tight. I was kind of scared for Eddie. I thought he was done. Eddie was able to pop his head out due to the maneuvering and to his craftiness and being a vet. He was able to escape the deep fucking guillotine choke.
Oh yeah!
And got up, started landing that left again, started piecing up Eddie again, and not too long after that, Eddie shot in again to try to get the takedown on Porier. And again, Porier jumps to submission, jumps to the guillotine. This time it's not in as much. And if I'm not mistaken, from here, Eddie ties up the feet in Porier's feet in between his, kind of almost in mount, but Porier sitting up. So we have, when the guillotine was applied by Porier to Alvarez, Alvarez was grabbing the cage. I mention that because there's a series of fouls or violations that Eddie Alvarez commits that lead to the actions of the referee towards the end of this fight that caused them to stand Dustin and Eddie Alvarez up from the floor. So back to it. Porier has him in a guillotine. Eddie Alvarez is grabbing onto the cage, trying to use it for leverage. I don't know if to push off or to try to get up or try to get away from it. Mark Goddard comes in, tries to separate his fingers from the cage. Again, a legal tactic. You can't grab the cage. Goes back to the first fight. You can't land illegal knees. So now, once again, he's grabbing onto the cage, putting his fingers into the cage, trying to gain some kind of leverage to escape this deep guillotine choke. And Mark Goddard tries to stop it. Stops the first one, then comes in. And then in the second attempt of the guillotine by Dustin, Eddie Alvarez kind of pops his head out a little bit easier this time. wraps up Porier's legs and has him sitting against the cage. And he's trying to land shots. He's trying to punch him in the face, but they're such in close proximity that Eddie Alvarez can't really land any punches, and Dustin kind of controls the arm. He's got an overhook on the arm, kind of pressing it against Eddie's own body, so he can't pop it out. So what Eddie's coach tells him to go for is bring it up and come down with a 12-6, and we all know that's illegal. We saw what happened with John Jones and was it the Hammer Mark Hamill. John Jones's only loss is, I think it's a disqualification. No, it's a loss. I think he got DQ'd for landing that elbow. Alvarez threw the elbow and it landed on Porier's, I guess, right shoulder. No, it was the left one. Yeah, it was the left shoulder. And right away, Mark Goddard steps in, separates them, stands Alvarez up, moves him to the opposite side of the cage, tells him he's taken away the advantageous position because it was a 12-6 elbow. Mark Goddard later explains that he stood them up because it was, yes, the 12-6 elbow really didn't change the course of the fight. It didn't really hurt Alvarez, or Porier, sorry, because it hit him on the shoulder, and even Porier acknowledged that. He's like, it was on the shoulder, but no matter what, a 12-6 elbow is illegal. That alone shouldn't have warranted a stand-up, but Mark Goddard explains Eddie Alvarez was holding the cage on multiple occasions. I think he was raking the ears. I guess that's an illegal tactic. I've never really seen anyone try to do it or really get away with it, but apparently he was doing that. So he was raking the ears, and I'm guessing, I didn't see it, but when the ref is pulling your hands away from the cage, that's enough warning for me. You know, it's like, you're doing something illegal and I'm stopping you. He pulled his hands out of the cage to try to prevent him from trying to keep him from doing that, which he later did when he was landing 12-6. You can go back and watch it. He's grabbing onto the cage with his left, and he throws a 12-6 with his right. Illegal. It's a lot harder to create separation and push the guy off if he's holding onto the cage, and you can't get that push because he's got that hold on it. They stand up, and right away, Porier starts landing the left again. But this time, he's coming in with pressure, my friend. Too much pressure. And he's landing the left. And at this point, it's not only the left. He's bombing on Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez is just trying to cover up. He's wobbling. He's taking his head snapping back really bad. And it's kind of like a deja vu. We had this happen where, I think I had my glasses on. I'm over here trying to adjust my glasses. I don't even have them on. But, yeah, Porier's landing at will, beating the fuck out of Eddie. Eddie tries to go for a takedown. It gets stuffed, and it was a half-ass takedown. It was a takedown in response to getting injured, or to getting hurt. And Eddie Porier fakes another guillotine, but kind of like whips his head down and starts landing some devastating knees that hurt Alvarez even more. Porier presses Alvarez against the cage, and he's landing, and eventually he drops him. Solid punches. They look like they were killing Eddie. I know Eddie's the violent king, or the violence king, their underground king, but you should not be taking those kind of shots willingly. Like, he should have been trying to get out of there, but he's swinging for the fences, and it's kind of like, are we gonna have another? What'd you call it? Another instance of illegal knees, or another instance of Porier getting overzealous and getting caught again, like he did last time with the right, pushed him against the cage, and then that's when Alvarez landed the knees. But this time it seemed like Porier was a little bit smarter about it, and a little bit more composed, a little bit more calm, and he was picking his shots. He was trying to see which one should I fucking throw, where's the opening, and kind of staying away as well. He was getting clipped, but he didn't have anything on them. Alvarez is what I'm trying to say. Alvarez did hit him back, but it was really nothing behind them. So Porier finishes it. Mark Goddard jumps in. Stops the fight. 2 minutes. No, sorry. Second round. 4 minutes into the second round. Mark Goddard calls for the bell. Porier with a much deserved victory. A redemption of sorts for the disqualification that happened, I think, a year and a half ago. Almost 2 years ago. So he gets justified on that. And Mark Goddard got a lot of criticism for the stand-up. Let's see. In my opinion, I think Mark Goddard is justified in the stand-up. Eddie Alvarez had committed multiple fouls in the grabbing the cage. The previous fight, he had landed illegal knees that stopped the fight, that ended the fight in a DQ. So I think that was opposed to giving him a warning. He should have given him a warning for the grabbing of the cage at first. That way, people couldn't criticize Mark Goddard for the stand-up after the illegal elbow. But he didn't give the warning, and he did stand them up, and I still agree with it. But a warning would have gotten rid of the jackasses, the idiots. The people that want to complain that Mark Goddard changed the course of the fight, that Mark Goddard is the reason that Eddie Alvarez lost. Look, I get it. You guys love Eddie Alvarez. I think Eddie Alvarez is a badass. An underground king, ex-UFC champion. He's a badass. One of the best warriors we have in the octagon. He wasn't winning that fight. The outcome of that fight was not going to be for him. I don't care what you guys say. Go back and watch it. Porier was landing a lot more. Not so much in the first, but he was landing the harder shots in the first for sure. Porier was establishing the distance a lot better, and he was, when he came in, he was landing his shots a lot harder. They were sticking on. You could see it on Alvarez's face. I know he does take a lot of damage, but again, Alvarez was losing. He went for the takedowns for a reason. He was getting clipped. He was getting hit with that straight left. And Porier was establishing his distance, and he was establishing his pressure, his rhythm. Eddie felt it, and Eddie went for the takedown. Eddie had success on the floor to the extent of keeping him there. There were no takedowns. There was one takedown attempt officially, I guess, in the second round by Eddie Alvarez, which resulted in Dustin jumping for guard both times. Or not guard, but he jumped guard, guillotine. Well, I guess he jumped guillotine and then hooked the guard. Both times Eddie Alvarez escaped. One of those times, Eddie kept him on the floor, wrapped up the legs, and he was in mount. I'll give you that one. He was in mount. But he was grabbing onto the cage, and then he landed an illegal elbow because Dustin was nullifying or neutralizing his ground game. He was wrapping up the arms. They were in close distance. There were no real devastating shots. The worst position Dustin was in was almost getting, not even almost getting, the arms were not under the neck. There was no choke going on. It was a neck crank. And I wouldn't say there was a lot of danger. He was in some danger of getting, you know, maybe he couldn't suffer through the neck crank, but he did.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, so he survived the neck crank. And then that's what happened. Okay, he survived the neck crank and spun into Eddie, giving him mount. That's when they were pressed against the cage, and that's when the illegal elbow happened, and that's when the grabbing of the cage happened. And after the fight, Eddie Alvarez kind of told Dustin, yeah, you won, but it's because they stood us up. To me, that did not need to be said. Because it's almost an excuse. And Eddie Alvarez doesn't need any excuses. He's a fucking warrior. And this just makes me dislike him a little bit more. I love his fighting style, and I'll forever watch him fight. But like, just hearing him say that kind of put me off to the kind of, I guess, the character of Alvarez and the kind of person he is, just by how I've seen him deal with losses. So the last loss, he kind of tried to put it on Porier, that Porier quit, even though Porier was winning the fight last time. Did get clipped. I'll give you that one again. I'll give you it. He got clipped. But Eddie was in a lot more danger that fight than Porier was. He landed those illegal knees, and then at the beginning of this fight, he said that Porier was the one that quit. Porier was the one that wanted out, and that's why that match did not continue. Not because of him landing the illegal knees, but because Porier was quote-unquote, well, you know what, I'm not going to quote-unquote because he didn't say that, but he was pretty much calling him a pussy. Pretty much like, oh, I hit you with those knees and you could have continued, but you didn't. Well, guess what, Eddie? They were fucking illegal. You don't land illegal shots and then expect to win the fight. Well, if you do, if you don't get caught. But guess what? You got caught. And then this one, he's grabbing the cage. And then he lands a 12-6 elbow. Yeah, you're going to get stood up, dude. You're going to get stood up. So they got stood up. He got finished.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, so that's the bottom line. He cheated, he got stood up, and he got finished. There's nothing more to that. And people want to complain about Goddard and complain. No, those are the fucking rules, and you have to follow the rules in a fight. And again, Dustin Porier was winning the fight, landing a lot more and a lot cleaner than Eddie Alvarez. And that puts a nice little bow. It's the end of the book to these guys. Maybe not the end of the book. That's the end of this chapter. We had the first chapter ending in a DQ. Second chapter ending in Porier knocking out Eddie Alvarez. And maybe we'll get a third one. But as of right now, they are Alvarez 1, or no, Alvarez 0, Porier 1, and there's a DQ.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
There's nothing that can be done about that. Porier, he's kind of put in a tricky position now, because now he has to wait to see what's going to happen with Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor decides to come back and fight Khabib Nurmagomedov, I can't even pronounce his name right now. I don't know why. It's because I'm not smoking. I'm detoxing, guys. I've been detoxing for, I think it's a week and a half now. I did smoke on Friday with Quadro, but I haven't bought any weed and I haven't had weed. I will still smoke it, friends. If you guys want to come to my house, you guys know who you are. Folio Podcast Fight Club. You guys want to bring bud? Bring it. I'll fucking smoke it. I'm not buying any right now. I'm just trying to detox, but I don't know what I got on that. But, yeah, so Conor Khabib is rumored to happen in October. I think October 5th or 6th, which is going to be fucking awesome. My birthday's the 16th. If that happens, I'm probably going to have maybe not even a fight companion. Maybe I'll just move my TV somewhere like in a big area, or maybe ask my brother to let me borrow his living room and maybe have a huge fight companion there where I tell a bunch of people to shut the fuck up and only a certain of us will be on the mic and like we'll rotate off. I don't know. Well, I'll come up with something. But October 6th, if Conor McGregor takes on Khabib, I'm doing a birthday shit for me because my birthday is the 16th in October. So if that falls right around the same date, be aware, man. Be fucking aware. I don't know. Look out for that one. Might have to invite a bunch of people and get a... Nah. Sounds like too much trouble. I'll see. It's still far away. And I'll see how I feel towards October. If I'm feeling like having people over or not. But we'll see. So, like I was saying, Porier is kind of put in a weird position. If McGregor decides to come back and fight in October, Porier doesn't get a title shot. Which sucks for him because he's been knocking everyone out. Everyone they've put in front of him, he's been able to take out. And I think he has, if I'm not mistaken, 4 stoppages in his last 5 fights. I think one of them was a DQ because of Eddie. So this last fight, Eddie Alvarez, performance of the night, got a knockout. Last fight, he took on Justin Gaethje, got a knockout, performance of the night. Fight before that, he took on Anthony Pettis, and he knocked him out round 3. Got fight of the night as well. So that's 3 knockouts in a row. Would have been 4 out of 4 knockouts in a row if Eddie Alvarez didn't land those knees. I believe Eddie Alvarez would have gotten knocked out that fight as well. And then before that, he had a majority decision over Jim Miller, which he probably should have knocked out Jim Miller. But Jim Miller's a tough customer. Tough motherfucker. So, Porier's on a crazy winning streak, and a performance of the night or a fight of the night honors in his last 3. 4 out of his last 5. So, Porier is very deserving of a title shot right now, but McGregor being out, not fighting anybody, Khabib being champion and wanting McGregor, everyone wanting McGregor versus Khabib, kind of puts them in a weird, or puts him in a weird position, because they're definitely aiming for that fight opposed to Dustin. So where does Dustin go from here? I would, if I were UFC Booker, not Booker T, fight time, not Booker T, but the Booker of the UFC in this instance. I would put Khabib, Conor in October. And depending on when Tony is good and healthy, a little update on Tony. Tony's been doing backflips. He's been rehabilitating his knee. He's been doing a lot of shit with his knee, a lot of activities. He'll probably start running soon. He's been breakdancing, if he's not running already, you know. But he's been breakdancing. He's been trying to get his knee back to 100%. So hopefully we will see him around October, around maybe a month after that, or in December. I know when there's another big fight. They have stripped him from the 155-pound title. So he doesn't hold claim to a #1 contendership right now, because they're giving it to McGregor 100%. Tony's out, but as soon as he comes in, he's not champion anymore. They took the belt from him. What? So he's not champion. So I say Conor Khabib, October. Porier, Ferguson, as soon as Ferguson's ready, which is probably going to be not too long from now. What is it? July? 3 months from now? Well, it's August pretty much. Tomorrow's August. So August, September, October. It's 3 months for October to figure out that whole situation. Maybe Porier waits 3 months without taking a fight. Maybe he holds off to see who the winner of Khabib and McGregor are. But then again, that fight is just rumored. That's not even supposedly happening. It's all rumored, so that kind of fucks over, again, Porier. He definitely wants a title shot. He's super young. He deserves a title shot. Let's see. He's 29, 5'9", 155. I've never been super high on Porier. He's a very skilled fighter, ever improving fighters, which he's shown. He's been showing in his fights. He's ever improving. The losses he has are to top guys, pretty much. Let's see. The no contest against Alvarez, that's not a loss. The loss to Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson has a very good skill set, and it's a matter if he can put it together and not get hit. Michael Johnson likes getting hit. Dustin got into a war with him, and it was not the right decision for him. We saw what Eddie did when he clipped him. He almost dropped him in their first fight when it was a DQ. Then he got kneed and the fight got stopped. But we've seen Dustin get dropped before by Michael Johnson. But Dustin Porier has improved vastly from there. Not only from there, but every fight he seems to be picking up more and more skills. Either in the skill department or being calm, being more patient, game plan wise. He knows. He's been modifying his game plans because of losses to Michael Johnson. Before that, he had lost in 2014 to Conor McGregor at 145, which isn't a good weight division. For him. He's a big, I wouldn't say big 155er, but he's definitely good at 155. And by good, I mean, I don't think he needs to cut a lot, and there aren't a lot of guys that are going to outsize him and outpower him. And at 145, I think he was too depleted. Conor caught him. They didn't even catch him. He was picking his spots, and he kind of just dropped them. That's no knock on him whatsoever. He's improved vastly since then. And like I said, 145 is not his division. I think he faced Cub Swanson at 145 as well. Lost a 3-round unanimous decision. They're both strikers. Cub has very clean striking. Like I said, Porier's ever improving in his game. So who knows at what stage of his boxing technique he was there. And he's definitely improved on it. So Cub has really good boxing. He could have learned from that fight what he needed to add to his arsenal to further improve his MMA game. He lost to Chang Sung Gung, the Korean Stun Gun. No, it's the Korean Zombie. Sorry, this is the Korean Zombie. Again, at 145, that division is not for him. He got submitted in the 4th round. And then his last loss before that was to Danny Castillo back in WEC in a unanimous decision. I know Danny Castillo hasn't had the best of careers in the UFC, but he's definitely a good fighter. Well-rounded skill set, and he's a tough guy to get out of there. Alvarez, let's see, he's 29 right now, and he took on Danny Castillo in 2010. He was 21 years old. Imagine how much you can learn in 8 years. Imagine how much technique you can pile on top of whatever you have learned already. And he's done it. He's definitely improved vastly. Just to name his last 3 fights, well, I already did. But it was Alvarez, Gaethje, Perez. Alvarez, ex-155-pound champion. Perez, former 155-pound champion. Give Dustin his title shot, man. He deserves it. I don't know what else the guy's got to do, but give that man a title shot. I don't know what kind of argument you would make against me to not give Dustin the title shot. I think he's even more deserving than McGregor at this point, just due to the fact that he's fought a lot more. He's knocked out a lot of his last opponents, and McGregor's been out for a while. If they're not going to figure out this McGregor thing right away, give it to Porier. Porier versus Habib. Habib will probably win that one just due to the fact that he's going to control the fuck out of him and not let Dustin get his striking off. But if Conor's going to be difficult about it, which he probably won't, he needs to come back. It's been too long, and his star, I don't know if it's dropping, but people are kind of like, we need to see this guy fight already. But if Conor's not going to fight Habib next, it has to be Porier.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
Hey, you guys heard it. That's the fucking bottom line. But, yeah, Dustin Porier picks up the win. Enough about that fight. That was the main event of UFC on Big Fox. And then we had the co-main event. We had the return of Jose Aldo taking on Jeremy Lil Heathen Stephens. Don't remember who I picked last week on Average Joe's. I'm thinking I picked Aldo, but I'm not sure. I like Stephens a lot. He's got a ton of power. He wanted to go leg kick for leg kick with Aldo, which is not a good idea. And he's a very pressure-heavy, heavy-handed striker, Jeremy Stephens is. And Jose Aldo is also a heavy-handed, heavy-footed, not in the fact that he can't move around well, but when he hits you, he hits hard. His kicks are devastating. His punches are devastating. And we kind of saw Aldo get back to the Aldo of old. Back to his championship days. So his last 4 fights have all been losses. No, his last... Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Besides this one, he had lost to Holloway twice. And then he had beaten Frankie Edgar for, I think it was an interim belt, back in 2016. But right before that, he had lost to Conor McGregor in 13 seconds. So it's kind of finally a redemption for Jose Aldo. And it was... I wouldn't say it's a drop in competition, just because Stephens deserves to be where he's at in the rankings. He's a very good fighter, but I think Aldo has him beat on the technical side of the striking, and I think power for power, I think they matched each other. Stephens started strong. He started pressuring Aldo, landing some nice shots. Hit him to the body once, landed a nice uppercut. Kind of looked like Aldo was not liking those shots landed. No, it looked like he was not going to be a good night. I was kind of worried for him. But after maybe half of the round, did it even last that long? Yeah, it lasted more than that. Like, halfway into the round, it kind of seemed like Aldo shook off the 13-second knockout. It seemed like that's what he had been like, oh, shit, I don't want to get knocked out again. And it seemed like he was a little bit hesitant, and he was letting Jeremy win the round. Not necessarily the fight, but he was going to win the round if Aldo didn't do what he did. Stephens coming forward. Pressure, my friend. Throwing shots. Aldo finally kind of starts gaining his feet under him. I guess he's reading Stephens and trying to pick up on what Stephens is trying to do. Aldo lands a nasty left hook. Digs it into Stephens' body. Stephens right away cringes, bends over, and steps back. And Aldo just fucking senses the blood in the water and jumps on him. Aldo jumps on him, lands a couple shots on the floor. Lands some ground and pound. Stephens tries to recover. He really can't because of the pain in his abdomen from the body shot. I'm not sure if that's the liver side, but he definitely folded him with a shot to the body. Finishes Stephens in a very emotional victory. Aldo was bawling after. Especially after having those devastating losses, getting a win over Frankie. You know, he had already done that, so that was whatever. But finally got back to winning form, and especially with a knockout like that he needed. And Aldo wants a title shot. I don't think he gets it next. Especially Holloway's coming back, and he's going to fight Ortega. So we're going to see how that plays out. That one's probably the best fight they can make at 145. I don't want to see Aldo versus Holloway necessarily right away again. I want to see it, but not right now. We've seen that twice within a short time of one another. I think we need to give it some air. Let Aldo rack up maybe one or two more victories within the division. Make him face, maybe give Edgar another shot at Aldo without a title. We'll see what happens there. But Aldo looked good. Aldo looked good at he looked back to form.
Oh yeah!
So we'll see where we go from here with Aldo. But awesome fight between both of them. And then in the third fight of the main event, I think it was, or maybe not, the third fight from the main event, we had Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Tisha Torres, the Tiny Tornado. Let's see, how can I put this one? It wasn't a disappointing victory for Joanna, but it wasn't, I guess it was the Joanna of old. It was pretty much the same Joanna coming forward, landing strikes, but Tisha Torres was trying to implement her game plan of taking it down to the floor, but she couldn't. She was getting stuffed, and she was working against the cage. But ultimately, Joanna comes away with the victory. She outstruck her, stuffed the takedowns. And Tisha actually looked really good. She looked very surprising. I thought it was going to be a lot easier for Joanna. She proved me wrong. Not wrong in that Joanna was going to win. Joanna did win. But Tisha put up a hell of a fight. A fight that I didn't think she was going to. And, you know, she needed to do what she needed to do. Try to get it to the floor, but she couldn't. If she would have gotten it to the floor, I would like to have seen what Joanna would have done. to try to get up, or she could have gotten up. But it was just too much for Tisha. She got outstruck. Let me check the CompuBox real quick. On the quick. Let's see. First round, 23-13. Second round, 25-24. That one was a little bit closer. And then the third round, 33-17. It wasn't a devastating victory for Joanna, but she definitely picked up the win unanimously. Joanna called out, or wants a title shot if Rose isn't going to fight. Because I think Carolina and Jessica Andrade are scheduled instead of Andrade and Rose. But, you know, Rose might be hurt. She might be recovering through something, and she doesn't want to fight. But Joanna calling for the title shot is a little bit too soon. I'd like to see her pick up a couple more wins. I'm not saying she's done, but that was not a totally convincing victory to give her the title shot. So I'd like to see her maybe face the loser of Carolina and Jessica Andrade in order to qualify for the #1 contendership.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
What? The WWE. But yeah, Joanna cuts a promo afterward, wants the title shot. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it should happen, but we'll see. We'll see what goes on. And let's see. The fight before that, we had Alexander Hernandez versus Olivier Aboun Mercier, the French Canadian. I thought Olivier was going to win. Alexander Hernandez is a fresh face in the UFC. This is his second fight. He took out, Belal Dariush. Dariush is a tough fighter. He knocked him out in round 1. Got performance of the night. Dariush is kind of a bit of a skid. I don't know. He's just not putting it together. But Alexander showed how good he was. And then he took on Olivier. I thought Olivier was going to win decisively. Alexander Hernandez from bell 1, or from the sound of the first round, did not stop. He came with relentless pressure, nonstop, trying to take down OAM. I'm just going to... Olivier. And Olivier did... man, I wouldn't say he did good in stuffing takedowns and trying to neutralize Alexander, but he was never able to get off any of his offense and try to do anything to Alexander. Alexander was landing more shots, a ton of more control, 4 takedowns, outstruck OAM, just outworked him. I don't think there's nothing more I could say besides he outworked him.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
But another great performance and another big name for Alex Hernandez. Very impressed. I'm going to keep an eye out for that guy. He's not really a knockout artist. Well, I guess he knocked out Belal Dariush, but he didn't get a chance to knock out OAM. Not saying that OAM is a pushover, but Alexander did a great job. Brasher, my friend. Brasher. But, yeah. That was a shocker for me. I thought OAM was going to win. But good job by Hernandez. Then we had Jordan Meehan versus Alex Morano. This was total control by Meehan. Nothing really Alex Morano could do. Jordan was in top control, landing the takedowns. He had 8 minutes of control throughout the 15 minutes of the fight. He did get outstruck, but Meehan held him on the floor and had a lot more control. Picks up the victory against Alex Moreno. Wasn't too much Moreno was able to get off, so good job by Jordan Meehan. Seen Jordan Meehan pick up a couple wins since returning from, I think he retired at a very young age. Damn, in his last 5, he's 2-3. He's only won 2. He beat Alex Moreno. He beat Eric Silva in his last one, which he should have. He should win those 2 fights. But then he lost to Bilal Muhammad. We've seen how tough Bilal can be. Super pressure heavy guy. Emil Meek beat Jordan Meehan. We just saw Emil Meek get controlled the fuck out of in his last fight. I wondered why Jordan Meehan didn't try to implement that same game plan. And then Thiago Alvarez stopped him with, I think it was a body kick that he eventually ended with punches. But it's nice to see Meehan get on a 2-fight win streak, especially him being Canadian, picking it up in Calgary. So, good on him. Onward. Let's see. Hakeem Dawodu versus Austin Arnett. If I'm not mistaken, Austin Arnett is off of the Contender Series. Yes, he's off of the Tuesday Night Contender Series where he lost to Brandon Davis. He got his first shot in the UFC at UFC Fight Night back in January 2018. He took on Corey Sandhagen. Another loss. He got TKO'd. So he gets his third opportunity against Dawodu. And Dawodu was just the better mixed martial artist. Dawodu is a better striker. And we definitely saw that in this fight. Austin Arnett also being a striker, but not to the level of Dawodu. Dawodu came in 1-2 leg kick, 1-2 hook, 1-2 uppercut. He came in with a variation of strikes and always ended it with a kick, or always came in 3s, even 4 sometimes, just landing tremendous combos. Opposed to Austin Arnett, which would just come in with 1-2s. And not really add on or build off of that even as the rounds went on. I think that's what happened to him against Davis. I think he was just putting together single shots and not necessarily putting together combos, which would have won him the fight in the Contender Series, but Brandon Davis won. Dawodu shows off his striking paralysis in this fight, picks up the victory. Awesome win for Dawodu in Canada. I think he was Canadian as well. I think he expressed that after the fight. And then, let's see. Here we go. This one is my fight of the day. We had Cajun Johnson versus Islam Makhachev. Great submission by Makhachev. Cajun Johnson was playing the outside of the cage the whole time. Not really trying to land anything and mostly trying to get away from Islam's pressure. Islam was going to go for the takedown no matter what. He's got heavy hands, just not super technical striking. He's a lot more boxy because he is a wrestler, learning how to strike and learning how to put his punches together better. But he was trying to walk down Cajun. Cajun was using the outside, a lot of movement, a lot of side-to-side movement, trying to get away from Islam. Islam starts throwing some shots to cut the distance. Gets a double leg and lands a double leg. From the double leg, he lands on the side of Cajun, but then gets caught up in a 3/4 mount. Pretty much his leg is caught in the half guard position, but he's far up in position to where it's still a 3/4 mount, and he's still in a very good position to start landing shots. From this point, he advances into mount, and Cajun knows he's kind of fucked at this point because you got a awesome Dagestanian wrestler, teammate of Khabib, teammate of fucking Cain Velasquez, teammate of DC, teammate of some of the best wrestlers we have in MMA. Not to mention that he's already a badass wrestler from Dagestan. And then to come and train with DC and put those skills on top of his skills. He was able to reach the mount. Cajun Johnson shoots up his legs in order to, or he's working off the cage, trying to push off the cage. Really doesn't help at all. You're not getting Makhachev off. He shoots his legs up to try to get the feet under Makhachev's armpit to try to pull him back. Makhachev was from mount. He was working on, let's see. He was working on Cajun's right arm. Let's see if I can get this right. So he was working on Cajun's right arm and pushing it against the mat. So he was working this one, and he's mounted on Cajun. So when Cajun shoots up his feet, Makhachev shoots the armbar on this arm. So as soon as the armbar gets shot at, right here on this arm, Cajun grabs his own bicep and with this hand goes under the foot or the leg of Makhachev in order to prevent Makhachev from extending, because now you have this arm under, this right here is under Makhachev's leg in order to stop this arm from being extended into the armbar, which is, it's already in the position. So he's like this, and Makhachev has his left arm in there, and his left arm and his left leg are kind of preventing him from extending and getting rid of Cajun's left hand under the leg. So what Makhachev does is he's like this. So let's say Cajun's arm's like this. He's got it under, trying to pull it up. He's got the left hand under. If you guys know the armbar position, he has it hooked under here. So this guy's arm would be like this, and he's trying to pull it up to extend it back. But he can't, because Cajun has his left hand, the one that's not being extended. So you see how you can't really extend it, and there is no leverage point here. There's no leverage point how Cajun had it. And there was no way for Makhachev to try to get the armbar from there because of this hand under the leg. What Makhachev does, he has it hooked by the left. So what he does is he slides his right, and as he's sliding his right hand in there, he slides his left out. When he slides his left out, this leg that had Cajun's hand under to have more strength to try to to try to stop it, like this. This is exactly what Cajun was doing. This under Makhachev's leg, this right here. So what Makhachev did was he got his leg like this, lifted it up to the side. So when he did it to the side, there's nothing stopping this extension anymore, which will cause this arm, if he's still yanking on it, to be able to be leveraged out into an armbar. So what happens is Makhachev moves his leg out from Cajun's fucking grip, and then that's when Makhachev, he's like, it's perfect. He focuses on this arm, both hands, and he extends it out and causes the break point. He causes the leverage right here with Cajun's own hand that he was using to prevent the armbar, is now causing the leverage point for the armbar, which fucks up Cajun right away, gets the submission. I hope I explained it very well. I don't think I did. You guys would have to have some kind of knowledge on the floor, some basic armbar skills to be able to understand what I was trying to explain. But there was a lot of little moves that Makhachev did in order to get that armbar. How he had it with the left hooked in and his leg like this. Cajun was able to use his leg as a... This is the arm that I want to get extended. He used this as a stuff, because you want to get the elbow in there. You want to get the elbow and the arm extended out. So when he was like this and like this, he was stopping it with both arms. Once Makhachev lifted the leg, this right arm was not able to protect and create any more resistance for this right one, for Cajun's right arm to be pulled up a little bit and boom, leveraged out. There was no more resistance from this left hand onto the right hand to keep it close to his body. Makhachev, beautiful jiu-jitsu. Beautiful jiu-jitsu. Well, not really beautiful, more like technical jiu-jitsu. It was a little bit rougher, than some other really awesome sweeps or anything. It was just more of an adjustment and kind of an understanding of the resistance that Cajun Johnson was putting up to the armbar. And the years of Sambo nullified Cajun's defense, and little adjustments nullified Cajun's defense, and we were able to see a beautiful armbar on behalf of Islam Makhachev. Keep your eyes out for Islam Makhachev. He's got one loss. I think he's 16-2 now in the UFC. If I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, his last fight was against Cajun. Won. The one before that, he beat Gleason Tebow. Gleason Tebow's kind of been on the decline, but he is a beast. He beat Nick Lentz before that. Nick Lentz was doing good up until recently. And then he beat Chris Wade. So, and then the fight before that, we saw him lose to Adriano Martins. Round 1 TKO. He needs to work on his striking. I think he just got caught. It was very early on. But keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out. This guy has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights in the UFC, and he's 16-1. That means his only losses in the UFC. I really like Makhachev. I'd keep my eyes out. I'd keep my eyes out for Makhachev. He's a great fighter. Great fighter. I'd check him out.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
Let's see. Onward. Let's see. We had Antigulov versus Ian Cutelaba. This was a quick fight. It ended 4 minutes into the first round. Antigulov was trying to go for 100% takedowns. He got 3 takedowns. Cutelaba kind of got up sometimes and was landing his strikes. Cutelaba started landing some nasty elbows. And I don't know if Antigulov started getting tired, but they were definitely zapping his energy, and he was just not defending himself, getting beat up by elbows, and the ref just had to stop it. He didn't even go down. He was just too tough for his own good. And Cutelaba picks up the win at 205. It's nice to see a young, fresh face in that division making his way up. And then we had, in the fight of the night, we had John Makadesi versus Ross Pearson in what was a hell of a fight. These guys went to war, both of them. Ross Pearson really, really impressed me by not getting finished. John Makadesi definitely took a lot of damage this fight, but picked up the victory. No one shot any fucking... Oh, yeah, there was 2 takedowns shot by Ross Pearson. Unsuccessful. But these guys fought from round 1 to round 3 with the same intensity and with the same fire. And it was an awesome fight to see. But John Makadesi picks up the victory, which I thought he would have anyway. Just I thought he had the better striking. Ross Pearson's not one to try to take it to the floor unless he's in danger. And he does take a lot of damage, so I've had Makadesi winning in that one. And then we had, in the fight before that, Alexis Davis versus Caitlin Kuchenhagen. Kuchenhagen gets the unanimous decision over Alexis Davis. She just outworked her. Alexis Davis did land a little bit more and got the takedown. It just wasn't effective, or it didn't look effective, opposed to Kuchenhagen's work in the fight. I don't know what else to say about that one.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
Oh, shit, I skipped one. Oh, no, I didn't. Dustin Ortiz versus Matheus Nicolau, Brazilian guy. This was a weird fight. I had Dustin winning, but in a unanimous decision. I did not think he was going to win in the way that he won. He's a wrestler. Thought he would have gotten a 3-round decision, but he knocked out Nicholas with a head kick.
Oh yeah!
Not really a one hit knockout. It was blocked by Nicholas or Nicolou Matheus. It was blocked, but it was still hard enough to drop him. And then it was followed up by Dustin just landing some more punches on the floor and picking up the win. And
oh yeah!
Yeah, that was it for Dustin. It was shocking that he didn't go for any takedowns. He just stood up with the guy. But you know, whatever.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
And then let's see. We had Randa Marcos versus Nina Ansaroff. Nina Ansaroff is the girlfriend of Amanda Nunes. First round, I'd probably give it to Randa Marcos. She controlled her a lot more, outstruck her a little bit more. But after that, it kind of got into Nina's realm where she just was outstriking her and stuffing the takedowns and keeping it on the feet. The third round was more of the same for Nina, and she picked up, in my opinion, round 2 and 3, picking up the unanimous decision over Randa Marcos.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
And then in the opening fight, we had Devin Powell versus Alvaro Herrera, El Chango. I picked Alvaro Herrera because I did not know too much about these guys. Alvaro Herrera being Mexican. Devin Powell, I don't know who he is. And it was looking good for Herrera. It was looking very good. It only lasted 2 minutes. He was working the body of Powell, landing a lot of body shots, hard body shots. Powell trying to take it to the floor. Herrera nice stuffs. He got caught in the stomach with a nasty body kick by Powell, followed up by a second body kick by Powell.
Oh, yeah!
That dropped Alvaro, and just he couldn't recover, and that was it. That was it. And that, my friends, was UFC on Fox, Alvarez versus Porier.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Great night of fights. If you guys didn't DVR them, you guys missed out, but I definitely go check them out if you guys get a chance. And let's see, what else? I guess I'll leave the Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw for Thursday or something. I'll talk about that fight. But let's see. Let's get into a little bit of WWE. WWE. Let's see. Again, for the two legends that passed away.
You will rest in peace.
Rest in peace to those guys. Let's talk about Raw. Raw was yesterday for July 30th, 2018. Let's see, how can I start? We had Roman Reigns, I believe, came out calling out Brock Lesnar. He said Brock Lesnar was going to leave, or he came in the Beast, but he was going to leave, or he was going into SummerSlam the Beast, but he was going to go to WWE as Roman's bitch.
What?
So, Roman calling out Brock. They turned Brock into like a super ultimate heel here. He was backstage on the couch, kind of just reading a magazine. He was reading a magazine backstage. Heyman came out and asked him if he would come out because it's on the contract where he has to come out. Brock's like, look, I'm here. I'm getting paid. That's what's in my contract. I'm not going to come out to the ring. I did what I had to do. I'm here. Screw you. Pretty much that's what Brock told Heyman. So Angle confronts Heyman and tells him, if Brock does not come out, you're fired. He's like, yeah, Brock has a contract and he fulfilled his contractual duties, but you also have a contract here in the WWE, and if you don't make Brock come out today, you're fired.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
So throughout the night, Paul Heyman's trying to convince Brock Lesnar to come out. Brock Lesnar's like, look, dude, I don't even fucking watch the show. He's like, I don't care what Roman Reigns said. I'm not coming out. I'm here. I'm in the building. Whatever. Didn't come out. Till the end, I guess. Spoiler alert, if you guys didn't watch, Brock comes out at the end. But, yeah, let's talk about the matches, I guess, because that was just the opening for the Universal Champ. Yeah, the Universal Champ refusing to confront Roman Reigns. Constable Corbin takes on Finn Balor in a regular match. I do not know why this feud is happening, and I'm even more confused to the fact as I don't know why Constable Corbin won. He beat Finn Balor. I don't know where this feud is going, and I'm not liking this feud. I don't think this I want to see Demon Finn Balor. We haven't seen him in a year, but I don't think this leads to a SummerSlam Finn Balor with this feud with him and Corbin. We need a bigger feud, maybe him versus Dolph Ziggler, but Dolph Ziggler's kind of feuding with Seth Rollins right now, so that's not going to happen. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why Finn Balor lost. And then we had Alicia Fox taking on Natalya. Alicia Fox is teaming up, I think, with Bliss right now. Is she with Bliss? Might be mistaken. But Natalya has Ronda with her, and we had like a whole fucking thing where Ronda came out to defend Natalya, and now she's getting a match next week. Her debut match on Raw. She hasn't had a match on Raw, so it'll be her first match on Raw. We will get to see Ronda Rousey coming back from her suspension. So that's good, I guess, for people that want to see Ronda. I don't mind seeing Ronda. Elias came out and challenged Bobby Lashley to a duet. Yeah, he challenges Bobby to a duet, and Bobby Lashley is out there singing really cringeworthy. I forgot what he was singing, but
It doesn't matter what your name is.
yeah, but I don't know. Bobby Lashley got attacked by Elias with the guitar. I guess they're doing some kind of feud. I really like Elias, so I hope they build him as a better heel than what he is. He's kind of like a gimmick guitar player guy, like a better Jeff Jarrett, a cooler Jeff Jarrett, but he beats up Bobby Lashley because of that. Let's see. Then we had Jinder Mahal taking on Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman beat up Jinder Mahal last week. He was trying to like get him to calm down and center his energy or something. I forgot what he was trying to do. But Braun Strowman loses due to a countout. What's his name? Kevin Owens comes out and distracts Braun Strowman by stealing the Money in the Bank suitcase, which, let's see. Kevin Owens finagled his way into a match at SummerSlam in order to try to win the Money in the Bank from the Monster in the Bank, Braun Strowman. So he distracts him. Jinder Mahal picks up the victory due to countout. Just leading more into this feud that's going to happen between between Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman for the Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. So there might be some changes as to who holds that briefcase at SummerSlam, because I'm pretty sure Brock's going to drop the title to somebody. He has to start training for his UFC return. But onward, Apollo Crews takes on Akam from the Authors of Pain, the big dudes, in a singles match. I don't know where this feud's going. I don't think they're really putting a lot of interest into Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil and Titus Worldwide. Akam and Razor, I think those are their names. If not, I'm mistaking, and those are the Ninja Turtle names from Return, or the Secrets of the Ooze. You guys remember? The werewolf guy? Or whatever. Fuck you guys. Yeah, so Apollo Crews wins somehow. I don't know. Onward. Seth Rollins defeats Drew McIntyre via disqualification. Dolph Ziggler comes in and attacks Seth Rollins. This feud is leading up into SummerSlam. Well, ultimately, I don't know where they're going to go with this, but later on, Seth Rollins gets attacked by Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler backstage, so we'll see what goes on with this feud. It's definitely going to be Seth versus McIntyre, or Seth versus Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship. The Revival take on Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. They defeat Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. Maybe the Revival gets a push as a good tag team. They've been kind of shit on since their call up from NXT, but we'll see. Sasha Banks and Bayley take on the Riot Squad, consisting of Liv is it Liv Taylor? Liv Tyler? The really cute blonde chick. I think that's her name. And, fuck. What's the other girl's name? Let's see. Billy Sasha Banks. Sarah Logan. I couldn't remember the fuck her name was.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Yeah, so they take on those two. And, the Riot Squad gets defeated by Bayley and Sasha. And I'm hoping they teamed up Bayley and Sasha to create some kind of tag team championships for the Evolution pay-per-view that they're doing October 28th for the all-female pay-per-view. It would be awesome if they're building them as a tag team and other tag teams in order to have some kind of tournament or some kind of matches that lead, or some kind of tournament style matches throughout the months that lead into, well, not the months, but throughout the month of September that lead into the pay-per-view in October that would decide a women's tag team championship. To me, that's where it kind of seems like it's going because of how they're pairing up Sasha and Bayley after having them feud for not so long. But we'll see. I don't know where that's going. So that whole tag team, that teaming up of them too, I don't know where that's going. That's what I mean. Hopefully it leads to the tag team championships, but I don't know. I don't know if that's ultimately their plan, but yeah. And then at the end, we had Paul Heyman have to come out and answer why Brock Lesnar had not come out to present himself or to explain himself for what he's been doing and not presenting himself. Angle seems very angry. And Paul Heyman comes out kind of pleading for his job and kind of saying, look, I have nothing to do with that whole Brock Lesnar not coming out. Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do. We had a couple of cut scenes to where Brock got in Heyman's face and told him, look, dude, we're not fucking friends. You fucking work for me, you little piece of shit. He didn't call him a piece of shit, but he should have. Tired of this fucking PG WWE stuff. The first 2 hours could be PG, but can we get the last hour fucking, you know, Brock Lesnar calling everyone a piece of shit and blood everywhere, just everyone blading each other? I don't know. But, he comes out pleading to Kurt Angle not to fire him. And Kurt Angle fires him. And Heyman's holding onto his leg, pleading. And then we hear bump, bump, ba-dum, bump, bump, ba-dum. We hear Brock Lesnar's music hit. Brock Lesnar comes out, hands the title over to Heyman. F5's Kurt Angle. And Constable Corbin gets out of the ring. And we think everything is all good and dandy between Heyman and Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar, like, chokes. He's choking Paul Heyman, kind of getting in his face and telling him shit. So I don't know where that's going to lead to. We might see a Heyman heel turn of sorts. Due to the fact that Brock said, we're not friends. You work for me, you piece of shit. So, let's see. Where does this go? Where does this go? This is going to lead into a really weird, well, not weird, but I don't know what's going to go on with the main event at SummerSlam, because I know Brock is going to drop the title. But we have him facing Roman Reigns, and we have different possibilities for SummerSlam. Brock goes in champion. He's going to drop it. He's not losing clean to Roman Reigns. Nah. Nope. He's not losing clean to Roman Reigns. I think Brock has lost like 5 times cleanly. Like pinned or submission or something like that. He's only lost like 5 times to superstars. And he's not losing to Roman Reigns cleanly.
And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, he's not losing cleanly to Roman Reigns. They've been trying to push Roman Reigns, push him, and nothing's really, the crowd has never really gotten behind them. It might be a little bit too late. But for me, I would still I would still welcome a Roman Reigns heel turn. But I don't know if that's going to happen. The crowd's been wanting it forever, and it hasn't been done. To me, Heyman could possibly turn on not Roman. He could possibly turn on Brock because of what happened this past Raw yesterday. And join Roman Reigns in order to screw over Brock.
What?
Giving Roman the title.
What?
Lesnar not getting pinned cleanly.
What?
And we have Brock being able to exit the WWE without the title and pursue the UFC title.
What?
So that's one scenario that could happen.
What?
Second scenario, we have the Monster in the Bank. We have Braun Strowman with the Money in the Bank title that he won, or the briefcase that he won. So we could have him cash in at the end of the night.
What?
But we have Kevin Owens.
What?
Kevin Owens gets to challenge Braun Strowman for the Money in the Bank.
What?
If he wins, he gets to keep the Money in the Bank.
What?
Which could lead into Kevin Owens cashing in on Brock Lesnar.
What?
Maybe.
What?
I don't know if that happens. I don't think that happens. What I think happens is, Roman's about to win. I think Roman somehow is pulling one over on Brock.
What?
And I think we have the Monster in the Bank come in and cash after his victory on Kevin Owens earlier in the night, allowing him to keep his Money in the Bank briefcase.
What?
That's just what I think is going to happen on Raw. I'm not sure what's going to happen. That's just my prediction. But yeah, I that's my prediction for SummerSlam.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
All right, that was Raw for July 30th. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to give a big shout out to all my buddies, all the fight crew that comes through to help me fight companion, to help me watch the fights. You guys are awesome. Big shout out to the Rewrites. Check them out on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes. They got a bunch of their music up there. They allow me to use their music, which I should use more of, but I don't because I'm lazy. But I will start using more of their music. They're badass guys. They put on great shows all around Chicago, local bars. Check out their Facebook, their Twitter. They're always updating their events, so check them out. Those guys are badasses. The Rewrites. Check them out.
What?
That's the Rewrites.
What?
Let's see. Check out Average Joe's. I'm also co-host on there. Me and Jeff talk MMA. No WWE.
What?
But yeah, I'm going to jump on with Jeff right after this. We're not going to go live, but it should come out right after this. Like I said, thanks a lot for joining me. Rest in peace, Nikolai Volkov. Rest in peace, Grandmaster Sexay. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. See you guys next week. Boom!